welcome everyone. Welcome to Mass Live, which is
Mass Live?
filmed.
Wait a minute. What?
I mean, geez, I was thinking of our
fired.
conversation. I am fired. I am fired. Welcome to Scouting Mass, which is recorded live but enjoyed at your leisure. Today, as always, we have Rich, Alex, and today we have Art, who is an interesting part of the Western Mass Council. This show is, as always, brought to you by the Western Mass Council. And Art's had an interesting existence, and we're gonna get right into that. How about that show last week with General Rice, our president? Mm-hmm. How about the interesting things on leadership and Art is a part of all that, right?
Absolutely.
As one of our executives, Art is a part of that.
Part of the
change
key leadership
growth.
cog, yes.
Yeah, I thought that was a great show last week.
I think so too. I think so too. It was great to hear his feelings, perspective, and you got to watch it. You got to watch it. He has some great stories at the end about his Air Force
We gave you
career.
that as a homework assignment, did we not?
And Art has been in the studio before.
Not just this studio, but actually the reason I gaffed and I said Mass Live a moment ago is because he and I did a thing on Mass Live 600 years ago.
Yeah.
It was about 600 years ago. It was another Boy Scout thing, and it was Art and I were sent out there. So,
And he's been here on Westfield Public Access as well, right?
I think we're used to the
Yes.
celebrity status, right? I mean, people walk up to us in the street and you were on Mass Live. Where are you from, Art?
Originally from Seymour, Connecticut, so not too far from here, about an hour and a half or so south. Grew up there, and that's where I began my scouting career, so to speak.
And have you seen any more of this country besides Seymour, Connecticut? Thank you.
Of course, part of my career had me transferred down to the northern Jersey area, where I served in a little place called Watchung, New Jersey.
You watch them.
Exactly.
Does everybody watch Young tonight?
I think everybody watched on tonight. Yes, I think you're right.
Watch-
Bad 80s reference. Sorry, everybody.
Well, we
Good
can,
80s reference.
Well,
we
could
can
be.
continue
It was-
with references. Watchung Mountain was where the UFO crashed in the famous Orson Welles hoax of.
War of the Worlds?
Yes.
How about that?
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, we had many events there. I think one of them even used a theme. You know, we built a wooden saucer and placed it back near the spot that was featured in War of the Worlds.
Let me interrupt you for a second. So, our huge supporting Peter behind the camera, he and Rich, they had a great conversation a few weeks back on Alien. So, Peter, do you wish to say anything about Watch Out Mountain?
No. That's just lore.
I don't think you were. Did we hear him?
That's just lore.
Yeah.
Just lore?
Yes.
Lore of the Rings?
No. Isn't that lore of Orson Welles?
Yes.
In a little radio studio that we've actually recreated on Channel 15 at one point, we did the War of the Worlds.
I just thought I thought who knows, maybe you had some sort of like these guys are fan of the paranormal, and I know you are too. But all right, I put Peter on the spot. He didn't have anything to say right there. I thought he'd be like, yeah, on that spot in 1937, a green man ate ice cream.
Or man ate green ice cream.
That'd be pretty cool if he did.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. New Jersey.
Yes. So worked there for 3 or 4 years, and then I had an opportunity to go into New York City. I had 2 offices when I worked for the Greater New York Council. I was able to have an office in the Empire State Building. We're on the lower floors where there's, of course, lower rent. So we were on the 5th and 6th floor of the Empire State Building. So I had a desk there, and I also had a desk out on Staten Island. It actually was formerly a mental hospital that became rented out part of their spaces. And
You're talking about
we
New
had,
York?
Yeah, yes, Staten Island, New York. One day, while we were there, Hillary Clinton actually dropped in and visited all the little offices that were in this.
When she was Sec of State for New York?
Yeah,
Interesting. Or it's the
Senator.
Senator from
Yeah,
New York. She
yeah,
was
yeah,
Sec
yeah,
of State.
yeah.
Forgive me,
Yep.
Senator from New York. I'm not on a good roll today. You better ask some questions.
Better ask some questions.
Yeah, you better give me a
I'm just
break
gonna be-
here. I'll
I'm-
drink some water.
Yeah, it's have a lot of water. We'll get to this. So to New York City after your time in New Jersey, and
Yeah.
how long were you in New York City? That's a large.
yeah. I
the
wasn't
largest
actually there
council.
very. I wasn't actually there very long. I was only there for about a year. They had a reorganization after I came, and then headed down to South Jersey,
Okay.
down in a little place called Millville. They say is south of the Mason-Dixon line in New Jersey. Folks don't even think about that. So that's where I was for a while. Then went back up to an office in North Jersey, where I was in Morristown, New Jersey.
And this is all with the Scouts.
All with the Scouts. I've been working for the Scouts for 35 years. And before that,
What
I was a
kept you?
member.
What kept you? I mean, 35 years is 5 years is a long time.
It
right?
is.
What kept you engaged? What kept you loving it and coming and waking up every morning?
Well, I guess the fact that it is not the same thing every day. Every day is something that is completely different. And I get up and I look at my calendar, and of the things in my calendar, even how many of those are actually going to happen is how dynamic the
That's a starting
calendar.
point, but in real life, you might hit 3 of those, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And just all the opportunities to do different things. As I said, I met Hillary Clinton. I've had opportunity to travel, around the country for trainings, for experiences, for programs. Had an opportunity to meet so many different people, youth and adults, with so many interesting backgrounds. It's and the story that I joined scouting as a professional was that I had been in college and hadn't quite decided where I was going. Applied to become a professional at the time. Didn't quite have all the certifications they wanted, so they said, "Well, we'll keep your stuff." They called me 2 years later, maybe, and said, "Hey, did you finish? Do you want to become a professional? Here's an opening." And I said, "Well, I don't know. I guess I could try it. It's not really what I set out to do. So I haven't decided yet whether or not I'm going to continue to be a scout professional for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how many years beyond 35 it takes to come to that decision."
So you're still thinking about what you want to do.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What was your major in college? You can go back a little bit.
Yeah, it was political science with a
Nice.
couple of minors, actually, psychology. And I had an opportunity to take a parapsychology course as part of that. Also,
Dr. Venkman, yeah.
also a, what else? What were my other minor in math? Yep, there we go.
Good. Awesome.
And where I just college? Where was college?
College started at Muhlenberg College down in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And then finished up at Sacred Heart University in Fairfield, Connecticut.
You're super interesting. That's very interesting because most people, they say, I this is obviously a generalization, but they say that most people have like 5 careers during their working life, right? So
Absolutely.
in 40 years, 40 by 5, you spend about 7-8 years in one career, and then you're on. And I saw, that's true for teaching. I was a teacher, and that's true for other jobs as well. So
Yep.
it's really cool. I doubt that it's an accident that you stayed this long. Scouting held onto you by capturing your heart in some way, right?
Yep.
I remember this guy. He was a guy in basic training. We had to sit in a class, and this guy was like a higher ranking person in basic training, and he came into this class. We're all, just learning, and he was a guest, and he was there to talk about the TSP, the Thrift Savings Plan, which is the 401k So of the government. The TSP is the 401k for government workers. And he said that, he was talking about the TSP and everything like that, and he's like, "I can't believe that I spent 22 years or however many he had in the Air Force." He's like, "I can't believe I spent 22 years in the Air Force. I've wanted to get out so many times, but the Air Force has a way of keeping you in." And that line for me happened in 2008. And I was so curious about that line. Why do you say that? What do you mean the Air Force has a way of keeping you in? What does that mean? If I want to, if I'm done with something, I'm done with something. Well, it's just like that. And it feels to me like maybe you've had a similar kind of thing, like scouting had a way of keeping you in.
Absolutely.
Can you say anything on that, like editorialize?
Yeah, I'm not thinking of it, but actually, let me even back up
Yeah.
to before my professional life in scouting.
Yeah.
So maybe the answer is there.
Yeah.
So I was in scouting for 15 or 18 years before becoming a professional. So I started when I was 8 in the scouting program and went through all of that. Completed Cub Scouting with my Arrow of Light, went through and became an Eagle Scout, had served on camp staff for about 10 years. Maybe the camp staff experience might have been the thing that kept me in because that was one that was almost probably not very dissimilar to a fraternity, and talking about the ties that happen, in that experience. So, is it becoming part of the scouting fraternity and the scouting fellowship that did that? And I'm sure others might say that camp staff can do that to someone, that you become bound to not only the specific people but also the organization.
Yeah. Which is not that dissimilar to how I feel about the Air Force.
I think that's spot on. I've heard it said that both the military and from folks in scouting and professional scouting are both callings. It's not, some people are involved with scouting and they contribute a lot, have a great time, but it's a calling, as you say, to get up and do that long of a time. It really is for you to wake up every day and go, well, this is what's supposed to happen, but we know it's not going to work this way, which is not, dissimilar to the military.
No plans.
And that is also the same way. People will enlist in the military and say, oh, I did my 2, 3, 4 years. Life is good, and that's fine. They did what they were supposed to do and did a good job. And some of us, it gets under your skin, like scouting, and you stick around with it, and you just kind of feel it's something you want to just keep doing because you're not quite done yet, or there's something else you can add. So I would say it's more of a calling, not unlike the clergy, for a lot of people. So obviously you included. It's
No doubt.
Yep.
No doubt. Yeah, you found something special, and that's what we're trying to do. I mean, you and I, full disclosure, folks, Rich and Art and I, we all work together quite often. We don't see each other daily, but we see each other very often, and we talk more than once a week most times. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how much we've talked to you about this, but our goal here is to sort of have this show, these conversations, the folks we bring on, we want to have scouting values sort of be the foundation of these conversations, right? So we try to treat people the way they're supposed to be treated, golden rule type stuff, the basic values of human life of human society, I should say, that scouting tries to teach. Like this coin over here that Rich gave me says that I conveniently have in there just in case, I need to remember them.
just in case you don't have a netbook or a laptop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Anyway, okay. So there's a lot more to your life than all that. Were you done talking about college and how he got started in scouting? Did you want to say more?
I think we did college, and I think he backed into summer camp jobs in his youth experience. So there's something else. You left us hanging at Staten Island, the office at Staten Island, and then we kind of segued a little bit or jumped off course. So fill us in the rest of your career up till now.
Again, headed down to Millville, New Jersey. We did mention that. Was down there for about 3 years. We moved through a couple of different positions, from serving a district to becoming the field director in scouting. That's a middle manager position where you supervise 2, 3, 4 other employees in their own district territories, and managing everything from program to finance to recruiting, all of that. So that was the position that I had there for a few years. before being given the opportunity to return back to Northern Jersey in a similar position, field director up there. Spent 3 or 4 more years up there, was involved with the camping program on the day camp side. Tying it back to Watchung Reservation, where we had the day camp, and one of the
Orson
the
Welles
years
day
that we
camp,
did the yes. So just buttoning down, where that happened and what the context of that was.
Did you meet Tom Cruise?
Did not.
War of the Worlds.
Yes.
He's in one. Okay, all right. I didn't
One of
know
the
that.
remakes,
Yeah, I did follow that. Yeah.
And then was called to Western Massachusetts as the assistant scout executive, where my position is more in management, but also including all of those same disciplines that we talked about, from fundraising, recruiting, and program management. So,
And your job, and correct me if I'm wrong, for people who are not scouting people who might be viewing or listening, or even for some of our scouter friends, assistant scout executive is a term of art, no
Yes.
pun intended, and you're essentially the chief operating officer. You're the person that makes stuff happen. You direct the operations, basically, of the organization.
that's correct. Yep. So we have a scout executive as well, Craig Sims, who also, I believe, has been on here at one point in time.
Our first
Guest
episode.
one,
And-
episode one.
And again, to translate to the common language would be he's the chief executive officer, so the CEO. So,
Very good.
yep. There's always so many different things going on in scouting. You wouldn't believe, well, you know some of the things, but not all of them.
It is
You
difficult.
all don't know all of the things that are
Yes,
happening
exactly.
in scouting.
So tell us. I mean, we were talking briefly, to be full disclosure, off air, but there are a couple events coming up there are open to the public that may be of interest because they involve everyone's favorite food and drink.
For sure. We'll start with one that is happening on Sunday, actually out at our camp in Russell, Massachusetts. We have a pancake brunch that is being used to kick off our pancake and syrup sale. The syrup is actually partially drawn from trees on our property, and the pancake.
This is the Moses Scout Reservation in Russell.
Yep.
Camp Moses, as we call it. So this is where that's going to be.
Yep. So it's a kickoff on Sunday, starting at 11:30 in the morning. There'll be brunch, served, and then little talk on how the specifics, the mechanics of the sale. Then some of the folks that are brave enough and perhaps virile enough are going to be taking a hike out to the Sugar Shack, which is located in Blandford. We work with a producer up there that takes the raw syrup and boils it down and puts it all
It's
out.
not bland.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
it's-
right.
Thank you.
You're crossing town lines for this too, so yeah.
Yes, of course. So that's happening. It's a fun event.
Fording the town line.
Yeah, that could be
into
we could be
Blandford.
forwarding it. Yeah, there we go. That's good. It's good.
It's painful for most people, but we
Yeah,
enjoy it.
it's well. I said it's good, and so we enjoyed it. We had too much fun. Sorry, Art.
So again, that's at the top of the hill in Blandford. So speaking of top of the hill, we went over the top of an event that was happening on Saturday. We missed one. So happening on Saturday is what is called Merit Badge University. That will be happening out at UMass in Amherst. It's actually being conducted by the fraternity out there for scouts in Western Mass and actually all over the region, whoever can get there, where there will be classes for merit badges. At this point in time, we have over 160 different topics of merit badges, including radio, including communications, all of those sorts of things. Actually, psychology is currently now in the merit badge test lab, and perhaps could be a full-fledged merit badge by the end of the year.
Nice.
So that's happening on Saturday.
So that's happening. So merit badges are, people have heard that in pop culture a lot, referenced on TV shows and literature and things. And those are challenges for our scouts, our 10 and a half through 17-year-olds, to choose a vocational or avocational subject and learn more about it, being guided by an adult counselor, so they can learn some of the new ones. Like say, psychology is coming out. We've got any moment now is military service and veterans is going to be introduced. We have this old standbys: camping, hiking, swimming, canoeing, first aid, life saving, the things that most people are familiar about or think about when they hear of scouting. But we have computers, we have radio communications, as you say, we have aviation, coding, automotive maintenance, law enforcement, health professions. Virtually anything a young person is interested in as a hobby or a future career, we have something to address that. Signs, symbols, and codes, which is kind of interesting. Everything, Native American studies, whatever they want to learn, agriculture, it's out there. You could be, the city kid learning about farming, or the farm kid learning about, city stuff. Citizenship is one of those. And the test lab is sort of what it sounds like. It's something that's released as a probable badge. They want to see kids can go out and earn that, give their feedback on it. And if it becomes a permanent badge, then they will have been among the first to earn it. And if it doesn't, they just learn about something anyway, which is the point of our program, is to learn things as well as becoming a good participating citizen. So
Also in the test lab right now, besides psychology, is, believe it or not, sewing is one that's in there. Forest fire management, auctioneering are just some of the other topics that are in that. We also have 2 brand new merit badges that rolled out in the end of August of 2025. To keep up with times, we now have AI merit badge is actually amongst the things that Scouts can earn. Also, cybersecurity. So we are still have all of the traditional merit badges, but are also trying to maintain with society here in 2026.
we're creating some really solid, competent outdoorsmen and women, as well as some technology competent men and women, young men and women as well. So that event at University of Massachusetts, I believe,
Yes.
for the Merit Badge University, and that is actually being sponsored or conducted by Alpha Phi Omega. And for folks who aren't familiar, were you a brother?
I was not.
I was not either, but I had a lot of good friends. So Alpha Phi Omega was started back at the turn of the last century, and it is a fraternity. So it's not the Delta House that we're familiar with Animal House movies and things. It was based on scouting principles, not unlike the show, talking about the underlying values that help people just get along and be civil and cordial to each other. And it's actually a co-ed fraternity, which is interesting. So the girls can be brothers as well. And it's just they do a lot of service projects for the community and specifically for scouting. So they do a good job. There's usually a chapter at most universities or larger colleges. And that's been their mission, to put this on, being an educational type thing, part of their service back to the scouting community, which kudos to them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so surprised to hear you say that we have an AI merit badge. Like there couldn't be a more word of the moment than AI, right? Like that's just all anybody is ever talking about. Mm-hmm. Just out of curiosity, a small aside, I don't want you to be right. I just want to know what you think. What does AI mean to you? You don't have to be right. I'm not expecting you to be a computer scientist, right? Just we're all lay people in this. I'll tell you what it means to me. Maybe Rich can do the same. It'll be interesting to kind of. What do you think about it, or what do you think it is, rather?
Well, I think it's a tool to be able to perhaps have some of the tasks that we need to do done in a very efficient and very quick manner, so that humans can do things that perhaps only humans can do. So AI certainly can write some reports or analyze data or project project plans. Again, could I do all of that? Yes, but probably taking 100 times the amount of time that they do it, so to be able to do that. But I also have the warning, and want folks to really look at the other end of how much energy
You mean
all
like
of that is using,
electricity?
electricity that's
Okay.
using, because it's interesting. I find it very interesting that so many folks are proponents of both AI and they're proponents of everything green, and they are mutually exclusive, at least at the moment.
Yeah.
And folks, perhaps, I just find that very interesting.
I don't know if you want to say what you think AI is, but can I speak to just what he
You
said?
speak to that because I don't have
just
the-
for a
the deep
moment.
comments on AI.
A podcast that I watched 2 weeks ago, perhaps. I didn't watch it. That's a lie. I listened to it. I don't watch anything. I just listen to them when I drive. But a podcast that I listened to 2 weeks ago had a man on who was the CEO of a company called Helion, not Helios, but Helion. And this is an area that is incredibly fascinating for me. This company is trying to do not cold, but colder fusion, right? So fission, you break the uranium in half, and that releases some energy. Fusion is what's happening on the sun. You combine these atoms, and that creates energy as well. But there's no byproduct. There's no radiation, decayed uranium crap going on. So I don't know how many of you know this, but I found this incredible. The National Ignition, I always mess this up. The National Ignition Institute or the National Ignition Center. I can't think of what the entity is called, but they're in Los Angeles, and they are a government-funded project to study fusion. And what they do is they have something like 195 lasers. I might be off by a couple, but it's a lot. And all these lasers are pointed at this tiny little BB looking thing that has a skin made out of, I honestly forget. I think it was it was either magnesium or it was something. So it was a metal skin that had was it helium on the inside? It had something on the inside, and those lasers would shoot it, melt the skin, cause enough heat and energy to flow into this little BB so that fusion would occur. And in January of 23 and January of 24, they had successful tests where they put out more energy than they put in. It lasted super short. It was like a third of a second, but they did it. So now they have to scale it up to production, right? They have to do a conveyor belt that feeds these BBs into the machine. But of course, the BBs cost like $2 million a piece or whatever they cost. Apparently, they're one of the most perfect things made by mankind. They're so smooth because if that metal skin isn't smooth, it'll reflect the laser away from it, and the energy is wasted rather than captured in the core or in the metal.
Oh, that's very interesting.
So I'm excited about the next 20 years. If we can make fusion work on an industrial level, I've read how certain poorer countries in various continents, Africa, South America, they are still cutting down trees to turn them into coal because the people need that to cook their food, right? They may not be cold, they don't need it to heat their home, but they got to cook their raw meat so that they don't get sick. So they're cutting down trees. Some of the folks are eating species that we would like to protect because they're hungry, right? These are folks who are living a precarious existence. If we could give those folks free electricity, then maybe they wouldn't need to cut down those trees, right? Maybe we wouldn't need to have these small portable nuclear fission reactors that we're building now so that we can put them at these data centers. I think I said that I was going to be just talk about this for 5 seconds, but
okay.
So I'll stop there. But
15, it's okay.
I'm interested in this stuff. I think this is a path forward it doesn't produce the kind of end of life waste that solar panels, wind turbines. When those things break, you have a few tons of carbon fiber or fiberglass, whatever those big blades are made out of. I think it's fiberglass. You have tons of fiberglass that needs to be disposed of. With a solar panel, you have pounds and pounds for each solar panel that needs to be disposed of in 20 years or 30 years, whenever that panel is no longer useful. Not with fusion, right? Anyway, I got excited about that. So back to AI
Well, I was very excited. One of the merit badges I earned as a scout was then called Atomic Energy. So it's been renamed now to Nuclear Science. But I remember building a Geiger counter. I remember
What's the sensing element in a Geiger counter?
it was a special tube we actually had to write away for.
Okay.
It was one of those things, write to such and such a thing and send them,
Sure, get
$20.
your nuclear, get your nuclear supplies online. Build that weapon.
Exactly. And then I had,
A simpler world.
and then another requirement was I grew irradiated seeds, and I was very disappointed that the things didn't start walking around the house and all the
No Spider-Man happened. Nothing.
No.
All the power of a sunflower seed. Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. So I had 3 or 4 pots, and like which one was which. One had more rads than the other one, and
Right.
That's pretty cool. But
they
cool.
were both like all little green sprouts.
So
But I was very excited about that merit badge for my time, and it had the symbol of the atom with the circles and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. I'm not even sure what it is today, but it's different. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get that one. That was a cool badge. To your point, I think AI is a tool that we need to. I love technology as long as I'm the master of technology, meaning not that I'm an expert, meaning that I control it, it doesn't control me. That's computers, that's AI, that's anything. It's meant to be a tool, at least in my mind, for me to use to make life easier, more productive. And I think back to, we were younger, I think about this classic, cursive writing people bring up. I think reading and writing do sort of go together. If you can read, you ought to be able to duplicate those characters a little bit and communicate. And you don't always see that. And that's people come by that honestly. That's not their fault. That's product of society and differences in educational opinions and things. But I think AI can be a great tool for that. And back to your badge experience. So we've got a lot of young people who are really smart about this. It's great to be young and grow up with the technology because you just get it second nature. You're not like me, like, wait a second. How do I log in to do this? They've got it. They're all
Hit
over
enter.
it.
Why would I hit enter? I'm just going to enter.
What is this for? Yeah. What do you need? What do you mean I need to do this? But they're on it. They've got it. They've always been drawn to this. Young people are. We all did that. Whatever was our technology when we were younger, we were drawn to whatever was state of the art. And I think that's fantastic. But I think our program in scouting is also teaching them, again, those traditional skills. Camping. We've got the kids that can teach me how to do AI, who can also teach me how to build a fire, actually, because I'm not really good at it anymore. And we talked about that a couple of times. Or who can go out there and they can fish and they can build a shelter and survive. So they have a lot of these great skills that transcend generations and decades and millennium and all kinds of stuff. But they can get in and operate, show me how to turn on the equipment and make it work for me. And the ones we met too, we interviewed somebody a few weeks ago. And, the opinion I get from Sam, and other young people in scouting, they're not looking down at me as an older person saying, oh, you don't know how to use it. She's like, oh, let me show you. They've got this really great attitude about it, which is how older adults should have towards youth, trying to show them something else. We should just kind of have this mutual respect. And they were great about it. They're showing me things. So, great tool. I look forward to probably finding, I'll probably talk to you guys about it, and then I'll find somebody that's 15 that can really show me how to do it. As long as it's a tool, it can be used to make things easier. But the danger of any technology is losing some basic skills, whether that's communication, relationships. We talked about that before with social media, and doing things like Zoom or distance learning, which can be great. But if it's relied on too much, you don't get that aspect, human aspect, and I feel that's very important.
I hope that the audience of 3 people, thank you 3 people who are listening to us.
Well, we went down from last time.
No, I mean,
11.2.
We never know.
We don't know. We check our viewers.
But I hope that you're all hearing us say that scouting is not some kind of strange backwards woodcraft, right? It is that. We do hike. We do build fires. We do sometimes camp. It is that. There's that component of it, being in touch with nature and everything like that. But I mean, an AI merit badge, right? So there's something for everyone in scouting. There's something for your son or daughter, nephew, your daughter's friend, whoever you think might be able to benefit from this. They'll come and they'll find some area that is happening right now, and that's why we have a guy like Art who has to work full time, because he's got to wrangle all these people. He's got to find somebody to teach an AI merit badge, right? He's got to wrangle a facility. He said it's at UMass on this Saturday is the Merit Badge University, right? So it's at UMass. That took legwork to work with UMass to secure that place and make sure we're insured. And we always have two people whenever there's a counselor. We always have two counselors, right? So that we have a buddy system to watch out for the scouts. I almost said kids.
Our protection of
the youth protection concepts. We can talk about that sometimes, but I hope you're all hearing us talk about how many experiences your child or child's friend can have. And as I've said before, I'm a European import. I never got a chance to scout. That just wasn't on the horizon. But I came to it late, but I see value in it now.
Something, and I'm going to tag on that. We've talked about this. We've talked to our producer Peter about it, and I'll just kind of throw it out for the X number of listeners we have or viewers. So if anybody watching or listening knows of some young people, teenagers, we're looking 14 through actually up to age 20, who may be interested in communication, broadcasting, IT, that sort of thing. We have opportunities for them to come on in with us and produce a show like this. They can be the talent for the show. They can round up their own guests. They can run the equipment. Our producer, Peter, will teach them.
They can be the talent. I don't want to be replaced by the next generation.
Oh, sure you do. That's your goal. Find your replacement.
That is my goal. That is
Always
my goal.
Find your replacement. But seriously, if you know some young people that would be interested in this, we're looking to start a group to come on in there and do a show about whatever young people are interested in, and hopefully a little bit of a scouting slant, because young folks are doing a lot of good things, but young folks know better what they like to watch and hear about, and they'll get the training. They'll be trained to do what Peter's doing in the control booth.
Control booth, yeah.
And they can basically produce, with adult guidance, produce the program and gain some experience. Maybe they didn't have this opportunity at their school. They didn't have a technical academy to attend. They can get that through us if they're interested. So, we'll just put the little tagline in now. Western Mass Scouting will get you to our website, and there are a couple links to get a hold of people, and one is definitely Art's for his email, so you can always reach out to Art or pretty much anybody in there. Alex and I think have a link with our emails as well, so you can reach out to any of us and say, hey, tell me more about young people getting involved to learn broadcasting communications, and we will get you set up and get you pointed in the right direction and get you some experiences. So you'll learn that fire building and camping, but you'll be working with state-of-the-art equipment, putting on your own show.
We're not burning the state-of-the-art equipment.
Not at all.
No. Right.
No.
Okay.
No. No. We might be burning my notes. That's what we might be burning. Yeah. Oh, gosh. Yeah.
What in the world is a Rotarian?
So as we had the conversation before about what was that experience that made someone a scout,
Yep.
the same thing can probably be said of the difference between being part of a local Rotary Club and being a Rotarian. So I guess we need to back up a little bit and tell you about a Rotary Club. I'm currently a member of the Holyoke Rotary, and that serves Holyoke, South Hadley, and Granby. Again, dedicated to doing community service in that area, as well as regionally and internationally. So the group of folks get together once a month at the Holyoke Library for our open meeting. We often have a speaker come in and talk on a local topic, whether it's something of geographic interest or just a topic that the Rotary would be interested in. But then the rest of the time, we work on planning community service projects, whether they be small or whether they be gigantic. So a small one, for example, example is tomorrow morning, 6 of us Rotarians will be gathering to make about, I think the number is 75, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to go into a backpack system for a food service that provides for homeless for the weekend, that they have, hot meals perhaps during the business week, but on the weekend they're given sandwiches, and we gather up twice a month to make those sandwiches. So that's a very, hyper local one. And then we move on from there on May the 16th, my birthday, if anybody is paying attention and wants to send cards.
Right, back westernmasscouting.org. Yeah.
We'll be doing a much larger service
It's a
project.
Monday, right?
It's,
That's going to be a Monday.
no, that's a Saturday.
It's a Saturday?
It's a Saturday, yeah.
Okay.
We'll be having Rotary Day of Service. So Rotary Day of Service, all of the Rotary clubs in Western Massachusetts, Connecticut, and beyond. It's an initiative that started here and has grown throughout the country and actually around the world just 4 or 5 years ago, to put together that everyone will be doing a service project that day. So it's not all the same project. Every local project club picks a project.
Every Rotary is doing something
Yeah, yeah,
different, but
yeah.
everybody's doing it that day.
Near and dear to their
across the country.
community.
I
Nice.
mean, there are, I don't have the facts and figures on how many clubs are participating, but it has gone viral, if you, using the parlance of where we're sitting. That is a viral thing. The Holyoke Rotary Club is actually setting up 2 flag memorials that will be set up from May 16th until after 4th of July. One will be at the Holyoke Library, and one will be at the South Hadley City Hall. So we'll have 150 flags, and they are all memorialized for whoever someone's hero might be. It's not necessarily a military person. It could be someone that was your mentor, someone that was, just significant to you. So you, send in a contribution, and then the flags are tagged with that, and we just maintain those flag plazas, for that period of time. So,
How cool is that?
so very cool.
It's really
very cool.
Really cool. That's awesome. And it's a worldwide organization as well,
Yep.
which Scouting is also. So
Yes.
you're kind of in
So-
expanding your efforts, which
like
your
an
context.
international man
So-
of mystery.
So there is a fellowship of scouting Rotarians, which is
course
very,
there is.
very specifically people who have a foot in both organizations. Going back to the difference between being in a club and being a Rotarian. So I think the experience that made me a Rotarian was when in 2014, maybe that year's not quite right, but somewhere around there, I had an opportunity with Rotary International to travel to Togo, Africa. Togo is sub-Saharan Africa.
Yes.
And just a couple of things related to what you had said, and I started thinking about the devastation of the trees.
You're talking about the trees,
Yeah.
yes.
That when went down there, expected to see trees. There were not trees. They have all been taken for, as you
Private.
said, cooking and,
Yeah,
and,
sure.
and, and
Survival.
building things. Yep. So they are deforesting. And then I also asked our folks that were on the trip about animals. Are we going to have an opportunity to see some African wildlife? And the answer was, there's very little. It's all gone. It's been
How
consumed.
terrible.
These before I care about animals and I care about trees, and I'm proud of that. But before anybody goes judging, remember how much conflict these nations have had. Remember how much local war.
Yep.
And when you have local war, you can't grow chickens and you can't raise beef, right?
Yep.
And so my understanding is that the general term for this is bushmeat. And this is just a general term that means if you have to go out and hunt a monkey or
Grass cutters.
what?
They're like big hedgehogs out in Africa, grass cutters. Yeah.
Fair,
Yeah,
or a
okay.
nutria, or whatever it is that you're.
It's like, I want to look that up. I don't trust him. I'm going to look that up on a break.
Which one?
The grass cutter, but we don't get breaks, so you'll have to do that.
There's
for
no
the show,
breaks. There's no breaks for the wicked.
Yeah. That's true.
So
too.
these folks, you know, they've been pushed from here to there because of these situations.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Togo itself, and I found it fascinating, ended up being formed during World War I, and it was a French spoil of war for its
Colony.
port.
Yeah.
Yes, for its port, because as ships were sailing around Africa, it was a place where they needed to stop for refueling. You know, that it was essentially almost a
key
fuel
port.
depot.
It's a key port for travel,
And a lot of
right.
folks don't know Togo, but you know that it was, like I said, controlled by the French, and French is their speaking language. Again, a lot of folks, you know, might not have thought an African country would be speaking French, but that is indeed the case.
There's tons of African countries that have French as a base language. I mean, there was colonialism all over Africa for what, 150 years or whatever it was. But yeah, and that. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, just we were delivering the polio medicine, which is one of the big missions of Rotary International. So we had an opportunity to go out into the villages and again see more of that utter poverty that was happening. We worked with you know, a couple of other organizations to be able to make sure the vaccine had to be refrigerated, so it was in a special backpack to keep the cold
cold,
chain, as they said. And we had to give 3 drops of the medicine to children under 3. How do we figure that out when we have a different language, when we have a different, you know, just these are strangers trying to give our children medicine?
Drops,
How's all that? So the way it was determined was that the child was asked by either, you know, whatever communication method we could, can they put their arm over their head and touch their ear? Apparently, a child under 3 can't reach.
Something about their body development.
The proportion of the arm and their
Right,
head.
it hasn't matured enough, right? Okay. Wow.
I'm older than 3.
And you can have the vaccine now. Yes. You've had more than enough, I'm sure.
And then because we broke up into roving teams looking for children, the other thing that we ended up doing was that after we gave them the medicine, we would mark their pinky with a marker so that they didn't get too much medicine. There was no deleterious effect if they got double vaccinated.
you want to make sure everybody had enough.
Yeah.
Right. It hurt somebody who didn't get it.
Yeah. So I suppose the experience that really made me a Rotarian at that point in time, maybe I was just a member before that, was the fact that the whole trip my club sent me on, it wasn't really something I had the means to be able to do. My Rotary Club, you know, helped me with the airlines and all that other stuff to get there. I was over there for 2 weeks total. But when we were out in the villages, after a while, there was one of these mothers with a very small child, had been vaccinated and just kind of started following us around. As we continued, she probably followed us for an hour, 2 hours, you know,
long
beyond
time.
her spot. Yeah, beyond her spot. And finally, she came up to me. And
How old were you at this moment?
well, it was only 10 years ago.
Right.
So
Okay, in your 40s.
yes, thank you. She lifted up her child and said, take, because she knew we were from America, and she wanted us to bring her child away from the
That
existence that they were in.
Poverty, the war, the strife. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. How powerful is a moment. Oh my gosh.
She's willing to give up the most precious thing that a mother could, because she knew how bad it was. Wow.
Yep. So.
Wow.
And to be able to cause that experience, you know, to be part of that.
Yeah, and you clearly made you clearly did some things that built trust, right? Moms don't give up their babies to strangers unless the strangers do things that build trust. Can you help draw a picture of where you were? Like, help me. Is it is the colors are the colors brown? Is the ground rocky? Is it sandy? No palm trees. Draw me a picture of
Yep.
where you were. Brush, desert, mountain.
It was very hot. Certainly, it was over 90 degrees. I definitely know that. It was very brown and dark green, very dry, very sandy. There was occasional trees, but not many. The other thing was just the utter poverty that we saw along the trip. There would be, a cistern, a concrete, for the water to gather.
yeah.
But then you would look at it, and it would be full of trash. People didn't have like that was their well, and just utterly. There were a few in the little villages. There might have been a few chickens still running around that they managed to, keep
survive
keep
themselves,
going.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
But just the utter poverty. Clearly the folks were very rail thin,
Malnourished,
yeah.
I mean, just this, we're sitting here all taking sips every few minutes, and you're talking about the conditions there in the water. We take this for granted, like, oh, well, only had this brand. Oh my God, my brand's not available. And we get spoiled in a culture like ours, a society like ours, that this is just a basic staple of life. It's crucial, right, to maintain our carbon-based organisms, right? We need this.
So one of our tour leads knew that, and we had our water bottles with us, but they said, make sure to very carefully keep the empties and your supply, but to give the empties so that they would be put to use with the people there.
Wow.
So they would use those containers to store water because they didn't have container. Even if they found water, they didn't necessarily have a
get
container.
potable water they could store in some bottles, where we're used to just pitch it away, recycle it, whatever.
Yeah.
Wow, and just we don't think about that.
No worries, no worries.
Yeah,
Just a
it's,
headset.
Just a headset making its own decision. But
Switching to the
you-
paranormal.
But no, I think that's an incredible story. That I can see where that was just so moving for you and making a big difference. So I'm seeing a theme right here. We're talking to a person who is committed to helping youth, and you're committed to helping fellow human beings in your community. And it kind of brings me something which is not a surprise, because you said we could talk about your faith practices, and that is something that's also very important to you in your development and who you are as a person. If you want to share whatever you'd like to.
Sure. I certainly been a member of the Episcopal Church for my what I can remember, going back into my childhood. Been very active serving at church from the days of serving at the altar as a young person to moving up, becoming eventually a lay leader, a Eucharistic minister. When I was in New Jersey, actually moved through the chairs of leadership in the Episcopal Church that I served as a senior warden for 2 different churches. Which is essentially the head volunteer that helps manage everything from budget to relations in the church and whatever church business has to happen.
Very nice.
I also served on the diocese level. There I was on a couple of different committees before eventually moving on to be a trustee for the Episcopal Diocese of New Jersey. So, so I've been very involved in church life. I hadn't gotten particularly connected here locally at that level, as I still had ties to New Jersey. That after I moved here, I still was serving in some of those roles remotely.
Yeah. Sure.
That both the bishop and the local priest, called on me for support to help with all kinds of things. Even as late as 2024, I was still a representative at the diocesan convention for the local church I served in Elizabeth, New Jersey. Interesting story there.
Yeah.
To tell one of the things that got accomplished under my tenure there was there was a signer of the Declaration of Independence. I always get confused. Yes, Declaration of Independence, that was buried at the church that we attended. However, he was buried in circumstances in his later life where he had ended up becoming a pauper. So he was put in an unmarked grave. So working through various history, documentations, and then actually working back through the veteran services, a marker for this individual was produced by the government, because recognizing his place in history, and shipped to the church, so that the marker is not on his actual site, because we weren't able to figure out where that was, but it is in the cemetery. So he's
Place of
somewhere
honor.
around here.
Place of honor, recognizing his contributions. That's
Sure.
awesome.
That was an individual called Jonathan Dayton.
Okay.
And his,
That is so neat.
That's an awesome story.
That's an awesome story.
and it continues that he was not the appointed delegate that was supposed to come down. It was his father, and his father was deathly ill and couldn't show up. But then they kept sending messages that said, "Mr. Dayton Sr., you need to come. We don't have enough votes. We don't have enough people." And so eventually they sent 14-year-old Jonathan down
the
to
alternate.
Philadelphia from Elizabeth, and he was the last signature that was the minimum that they needed.
14 years. One of the signatories of the Declaration of Independence is 14 years old.
Yeah.
That does get better. That story is excellent.
That's a great story.
Was he a scout? Can we come up? Scouts didn't exist back then, of course, but that would have been perfect
That would have been the kind of kid who would have been a scout, for sure. Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Yep. Very
That's
awesome.
wild. You've intertwined yourself with
That's
history.
right.
Yeah. That's just
So also while I was in New Jersey in those roles, they had started up a school for ministry to be able to have folks enter the ranks of moving from lay clergy into ordained clergy.
Oh, very nice.
Whether folks became deacons or priests at the end of that. At first, because we were at the verge of COVID and all that sort of thing, they were willing to have virtual participants. And then I would, even after I moved here, I would go down like quarterly to gatherings, that we would have retreats and study and all of that. And then they moved to a spot, administration changes as things happen, where they said, we need folks to be physically here, and so that journey, I guess I'll say, is on pause.
Right. And that was the journey towards ordination?
Yeah.
your journey
That
towards
was-
ordination.
Well, that was my intention,
Yeah.
and that was my calling. We're
Yeah.
going back to
Calling, right. So there's the other job. You have the other job identified. When you get figure out what you want to do, you know what you want to do.
But I was hoping
It's
to have
just continue to help people. That's what you want to do.
and I was hoping to have it all set and
Right.
ready and finished. That's the part that's
It's going to come together. Everything works the way it's supposed to.
Yeah. That's so.
because
How-
the churches I had served often had been churches that may have had gaps in ordained clergy. So part of that role as a layperson was not only recruiting ordained people to come and do it, but to do the service in the event that ordained clergy weren't there, couldn't do all of the elements, and needed special permission for some things and so on. So that was how that all came to be.
That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
That's more than awesome.
It is
yeah.
more than awesome. Yeah.
I did
did you-
in scouting. Start with God and Country as a award that I worked on. It was an elective award. It's not part of the merit badge or rank structure. Almost every religion has a special awards program that they can undertake in scouting. Many religions have those programs that are at every age level, starting now down at kindergarten and moving up, all age appropriate through teenagers. So I did the teenager one for the Episcopal Church. Worked with a gentleman at the time in Connecticut, Father Nargisian from Washington Depot, Connecticut.
Washington Depot.
And I had made contact with him when I was resident at the gun school in Washington, Connecticut. So that prep school, I was there for 4 years, and so worked with Father Nargisian for God and Country.
And as you mentioned, these are awards basically set up by the various faith organizations or faith groups for scouting personnel. So the youth can choose to do this to strengthen their bond or their understanding of their faith through different age levels. And also those faith groups, if I recall, many of them offer nominative awards for adults who are doing really nice things in the community and serving youth and serving their faith. So somebody Episcopalian could receive one of those for their effort. Do you happen to have that award? I'm just curious, were you nominated for that? And I'm not trying to embarrass you or anything.
No.
That's coming in a few minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, actually, I do have 2 of those
Right.
awards.
good.
And that's what you were probably going
Yes, I was gonna-
to ask about. So for the Episcopal Church, I have what's called the St. George Award, and that was for working my own faith and with young people.
Right.
Had
And you have no idea you're getting this because someone says, "Hey, Art's doing a good job. He's being a good minister for youth. He's being a good community person, and we're going to nominate him for this." Then you're surprised when it's approved and it's revealed.
Yep.
So I want to clarify: it's not something he could seek out. It's something
right.
that sought him out,
It's done by others who've noticed
recognized his
the
contributions.
service.
Yes.
Got it.
Yep.
So the other one to keep people off of their toes.
Edge of their seats.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Careful, everyone.
Yeah.
Yep.
So in New Jersey, I had an opportunity to work with the Islamic Committee, creating several different scout troops, working in different mosques, getting to know various communities in actually 3 or 4 different areas of New Jersey. And then after that, worked with the National Islamic Committee as a mentor and I guess advisor to the chair of that committee, and he surprised me by coming to Massachusetts from his home in New Jersey to award me the Al Akbar Award for the Islamic faith.
Did that happen?
You saw that. You were.
I was there for
You were at
that.
yeah.
That happened like 40
at Stanley Park.
At Stanley Park.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 years ago. Yes.
I remember that.
That was your first
actually-
meeting when you were just joining up with us. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that was. I was very early, and I was like, "What is happening here?"
Everyone's getting awards but me. I'm new. I should get a participation
well, in my
award.
defense, there was food, so I was happy.
Yeah, it's food and drink. Everyone's
It's
favorite.
just
Yeah.
like-
But that's quite an accomplishment. It's one thing to be honored by your own faith group. That's incredible, and then also to be honored by another faith that you've supported, helped out.
Special.
We're there for that is very special. So I thought that's why I was kind of leading. Not to embarrass you, I think that's very incredible to be honored by 2 groups like that. Not very common. 1 is not very common. Two is uncommon.
Did you have follow-ups on those?
On that, no, I'm just tracking
How do
tracking
you-
where we are in
how
the
do
process.
You feed your motivation. I'll give you. I'll tell you. You know, you always have the right not to talk about something. If you don't want to talk about something, you just say, "All right, let's talk about something else." You know, when I was teaching in in a relatively low socioeconomic area school, and the kids, they needed a lot of love. And sometimes I felt like my love gas tank was a little bit empty. You know, my let me pay attention to you. Let me talk to you about the things that you want to talk about. Let me give you some interaction, and like we can talk about whatever it is that they needed to talk to me about, right? Maybe it was their sports, maybe it was they wanted to join a club that I was, whatever. But you guys see my chair collapsing? Like, I started.
Yeah, I noticed that you're getting shorter. I started as the shortest here, and I noticed that's changed.
How do you feed your motivation? Because I know that it ebbs and flows, and I taught for only 7 years. You've done these things for a lifetime. What can you say about that?
Well, I think part of it is by having those three centers and probably some others, that if there are challenges or things in one that might not be going, perhaps becoming immersed in
The
one of
three
the others.
centers
Yeah,
are Rotary,
right. Scouters,
Episcopalian
yeah,
Church, Scouting.
yeah.
Those are the three centers that
Yeah.
you're talking about. Okay, got it.
So, and certainly none of them are mutually exclusive either. You can certainly see all the parallels.
Parallels
so,
galore.
So if there's, some obstacles or challenges or, things that are, in the way in one, oftentimes all three don't get log jammed at the same time. Yeah. So, that's certainly part of it. Certainly, all of it, again, is trying to, work for the betterment of others. And then there are, certain things that I also do as that are not those that I enjoy reading. Rick mentioned at one point in time I did some paranormal investigating.
Well, we're getting to
so
that. That's the embarrassment threat. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's I don't want to make any kind of bad jokes, but that is going to haunt you.
No, you would never make a
No, I would never
Yeah,
make
yeah,
a bad
yeah,
joke.
yeah.
So I think that's part of it, having a variety of things to be able to move around with.
So you fed them from each other.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. I never thought of that. I didn't see that. It felt more like you're almost talking about how you're just moving the dedication from one place to the other. I guess I looked at it more like a glass of water that was just depleting, and maybe that was my error. Maybe that was my error in looking at it as a finite quantity rather than as something that could be replenished, which is kind of what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. Where else have you been in the world besides Africa? I mean, that I've never been to Africa, right? Which is whatever. I've been other places, but where else have you been?
Again, haven't traveled a lot outside of the U.S., but did have an opportunity during college. We talked about that. So back at Sacred Heart University, I was on the debating team, and we got to go to the World Debate Championships. Those were in Dublin,
Oh,
Ireland.
nice.
We
Very cool.
yes, we left on December 26th, and then it was a 2-week trip. Though we all separated after the first week to go on our own jaunts. We the rules were we just had to be back at the airport when our flight was coming back to the U.S. So had an opportunity to debate in that. We're in teams of 2, and then the college was maybe sending 3 teams, 4 teams. I don't remember exactly what it was. My team didn't do very well. We had 5 matches, 5 debates.
Mm-hmm.
We only won one of them. So we were, so we were, only won one of them. But what I was trying to get to there was at the end of the ceremony when the winners were announced. Harvard, Team A was the winner. Not surprising, right?
Sure.
The team the two of them scrambled to find us in the crowd because we were all in this big, big room, and after they got their awards, they came down.
The two Harvard people scrambled to, okay.
To find us.
Yeah.
Because
You and your partner.
Yeah, Angie. We were the team that they lost to. They were.
They won everything but the one
that was
match
the one that,
against you guys.
Yeah. And that was the one, and they wanted to come down and congratulate us.
Very nice.
How classy.
That's
yeah.
very gracious. Yeah.
Yeah.
How classy.
And more, I saw Michael from that team from Harvard on, I don't remember exactly the station, CNN, probably 5 years later, giving some report. So I was kind of like flipping through the channels, and I'm like, I know that guy. And it was Michael from Harvard delivering some financial report message.
Sure, whatever he was. Yeah.
Whatever he was a subject matter
That's
expert
very
for.
cool. Just, hey, I know this guy. I beat him in a debate. He owes me $5 from the pub after the debate. Yeah. That's great.
That is very cool. Talk about debate a little bit. Teach us. I've never been in a debate society. It was in a class we had a debate. Whatever, it's nothing. But debate is more like it's less about like just learning all the information and crushing somebody with how much you know, but there's a piece of it that has to do with rhetoric and how you structure your arguments and how you phrase your arguments.
Exactly. So
can you talk a little bit about that?
A lot of what's happening here about the verbal gymnastics that occur.
I disagree with that characterization, but go on.
He's on to us. Oh my God.
In our particular style of debate, a sentence was given, whatever it might be. The sky is blue. Okay. So some folks might take that literally and talk about all the physics of refraction and all of that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Or others might translate it into something that was completely different. I'm trying to think of a quick example. It's been 30 years since I did this.
If you say the sky, if you say blue sky, that usually means like a positive way of looking at things.
Right.
They could do it like a metaphor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Got it.
Yes, got it. And give us an example of a rhetorical trick, a rhetorical device.
It's been too long.
Yeah. Too long. Okay. So the one rhetorical device that comes to everybody's mind are rhetorical questions, right? They are not meant to be. They are not meant to be answered, are they, Art? Right. So that's a rhetorical question, right? It's really like I'm making a point, but I'm phrasing it as a question. Does that trigger another example of a rhetorical device?
It doesn't. Though some of the things were also. Injecting humor or moving things off of the topic, but perhaps being allegorical. So I'm just trying to think. There was one event where folks were talking about the turkey should have been the symbol of America. not the eagle. That was one of the things. And during the final debate, they allow folks who are not in the debate to kind of give a amicus opinion or to approach and also be part of it.
Right.
So at one point in time, I know I had that turkey debate.
Yeah.
I got up and started talking about the melting pot of America and all the colors that children draw the feathers with, that's why that would be a much more suitable than the bald eagle.
So there you were using what is that called? When you turn something into a picture.
Alliteration? Is that no? Not alliteration. It's
alliteration is the way the words sound together.
Yeah, that's not right. It's nope. I know what you're trying to say.
Imagery, I guess.
Nice
you were
warm
drawing an analogy between the imagery of the feathers, the colors used in the coloring of the feathers, and you were drawing an analogy to the ethnicities that were represented by those painting colors. Okay, yeah. So that's imagery. I mean, I think that's imagery, right? To symbolize whatever. Obviously, everything can be a symbol. That's neat stuff. Neat stuff. I feel like you had something.
No, my mind's zooming all over with different things. I know
It's
some
hard not
some
to
other-
zoom around with
I
all
know
the
he's
stuff
got all
he's
this
done.
stuff, and I know he's got some other interesting hobbies and interests. So you mentioned a rhetorical question, and this question popped into my head, and it sounds like a rhetorical question, but I believe it was meant to be answered. And I'm going to paraphrase that because I'm not going to get it right. It's, what does God need with a spaceship? He knows where I'm going, so.
How do you know where I'm going? How do you know where he's going? Explain to me where
no
he's
man has
going.
gone before. Yeah, that's
So that is a reference to Star Trek.
yes.
So
He's a Star Trek fan, sci-fi fan.
and I
it was at six.
I was not sure if it was 5 or 6.
It's five. I think it was five.
Well,
It was
can
five.
we just try to alienate a couple of the viewers right off the bat? What's the best Star Trek captain? Who's the best? Call it right now. Just so the people who want to leave can leave now. They don't have to
Okay,
wait around.
The original Captain Kirk.
See, that's incorrect. It's Picard.
Card.
It's Picard. Yeah.
Peter
Thank you,
jumped in
Peter.
Picard. Oh my
Thank
gosh.
you, Peter.
Oh my god.
So we're gonna have to end, Peter.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh. That's
Time to beam
All
me
right.
up.
What's that?
Time to beam me
him
up.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
I know you want to talk.
Do I
want
wanna
to say.
talk?
Can I tell you what? No, about Star Trek a
oh,
little bit. But there's so many fascinating concepts in Star Trek. But one of the most you're gonna this will help you understand. This will help you, all of you, understand.
For those who
how
are left.
nerdy I. Both of you are going to understand how nerdy I am on this one. One of my favorite parts of Star Trek is this concept that you can have a starship that doesn't have to carry food because they carry raw elements in their hold, and then they can use the transporter to combine those elements and maybe make protein
the
or
replicators,
water
yeah.
or an alloy that they need
Sure.
to repair.
Sonic showers. There's
Good old sonic showers. They're very loud. But that's one of my favorite ideas in Star Trek, that we can get to a place. Anyway, what's your favorite? What's your favorite correct fact about Star Trek? Not this Shatner stuff.
Will Shat. Yeah.
Rich and I did some color commentary on a greatest music hits of 1986.
85.
85?
Yeah.
And somebody asked me what was number one today, and I was like, I forget. That was too long ago. And we had a nice guy in here. He's part of this broadcasting station, and he didn't like Bruce Springsteen. So he and I were going back and forth all night because I'm a huge Boss fan, and he was wrong. So that's where we're.
That's all there is to it. That's why he was over here, out of range.
Yes,
Yeah.
far away. Anyway, Star Trek. What's your favorite? Talk about Star Trek. What attracted you? What are your favorite elements?
Well, I think exploring science has always been something that has been in my wheelhouse. We talked about my atomic energy merit badge that probably relates back to early viewing
An
and all that
explosive
sort
part
of
of this
stuff.
conversation.
Yes.
I think
I think
another
it radiated a lot of good vibes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
The nucleus of a good show. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think another part of
I
it.
think we have a bond over these jokes, don't you? A covalent bond, perhaps? Huh? Sorry, Art.
Another part probably was the triad of Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, each bringing something different to the table, whether it was science, leadership, caring, whatever those
Grumpiness in the case of McCoy.
Yep. You gotta love that. You gotta love that character. I love McCoy. It's a great character.
had an
He's a
opportunity.
doctor, not a lawyer.
Had an opportunity to meet Mr. Shatner twice, and I was probably at events with him more times than that. But the 2 times I had a chance to meet him, once was in New Jersey at the Prudential Center. Was one of those movie showings that he came to, and afterwards, he was in a lounge and doing autographs and all that sort of stuff. So have the picture with him there. But then my other experience with him was at a convention. We were at, I'm not sure where it was, Pennsylvania or maybe New Jersey, doesn't matter. And hundreds of people were all in this great big room, to hear him, and he was up on a stage and, had his stool at the end of the stage and all that sort of stuff. So he began his talk, and then, maybe 5 minutes into his 30-minute presentation, he said, "All right, everybody, stop here a minute." He said, "These seats up front have been reserved for VIPs, and I think those that might have needed special needs." But he said, "We're into our program, and so anyone who needs those seats has had their opportunity. So why don't all of you come up?" So I sat essentially almost knee to knee with him during the rest of the presentation and got a chance to talk afterwards.
Nice.
So
Awesome.
One of the things so maybe you could speak to this, right? So the Shatner that played Kirk was not the same Shatner that played T.J. Hooker.
No.
So it always seemed to me like, T.J. You remember T.J. Hooker?
I certainly do. So are you saying he just did it differently?
Yes. And I'm wondering, in certain schools of acting, it's considered the way to do it to emote in a certain way. And everybody kind of agrees that he was over the top. I just can't get it, Bones. He was a little bit
Exaggerated.
but I think it was on purpose, right? Because I know he's more broad than that. I've seen him in many roles. I've listened to his comedic record albums that he's put out, which are hysterical. I love those things. I mean, my God. And I'm a little familiar with his philanthropy. And so that's not him. He's not Kirk, right? That was a character that he chose to play that way. Can you speak a little bit about why he chose to play Kirk in such a over the top, let's say, sort of like Shakespearean stage manner, where you're talking, instead of talking to a camera that's real close to the microphone, you're talking to an audience that is 300 deep.
Yep.
So you emote, you project differently. Why did he play Kirk the way he did?
Well, I think because it was related to the time it was produced in the late 60s.
60s, yeah.
Certainly that was overall a wave that was happening. So a lot of the things produced at that time were in that style. I think that was part of it. I think it may have had something to do with the fact that the show almost didn't catch. So was it the shouting per se to be heard? And the reason why I say it didn't catch was that there were two pilots. One of them, the pilot for the show, was not picked up, and then they did it again. It was originally canceled midway into its second season. A letter writing campaign.
Yeah, the fans were able to save it for a little bit.
Came up to save it, so
I didn't know
might have had something to do with those things. I do know there was also competition for him to be heard amongst the ensemble cast. What we now sort of embrace as what's happening, that he saw himself perhaps as the star of the show, and many of the things leading up to that point had a leading man or leading lady, and it was their show. Oftentimes the shows would even take their name, that kind of thing. And Roddenberry, the producer of Star Trek, very much wanted the whole team to be representative, and some of that may have been to bring more scene time and have him be heard amongst all of the other players. Yeah. Some of the players actually held that against him because he did edge into the camera, and perhaps
Ham, right? Ham in the acting business. But he was portraying the captain of a huge starship, so that's a larger than life role, right? I mean, at least we think it is. So I imagine he took that to heart in that sense, and like, well, I'm going to be this bigger than life character. I have X number of space, crew members here, and I'm going to need to be a boisterous, loud action-oriented person.
Right. Perhaps someone being a higher up military commander. Do we expect today the commanders perhaps to be amongst a team? No, we expect them to be out front or up, giving the loudest voice. I mean, sometimes they do ask for opinions and that sort of stuff, but we kind of expect the highest ranking person. So I think maybe it had to do with the dichotomy of Star Trek still had a military structure. He still was the commanding officer, and there were lieutenants and ensigns and all that sort of stuff, and yet Roddenberry was trying to depict all of them in a collegial team environment, which is what I think ended up coming through much more successfully in Your Next Generation, that there was much more of a team, even though they still had the military structure was behind it.
Yeah, I would say that too. Looking at a fan of both series and also a military person, Captain Picard seemed to be more. A friend and I were talking one time. Said it's when I first came in, he goes, "Watch it." He goes, "It's more like real life." I'm like, "Real life? It's in outer space. It's in like 3 centuries ahead." He goes, "No. I mean, the way they handle the command structure, like we're not sending the commander down all the time. He's not the first guy in line to get possibly shot or captured. They're sending a team down." I'm like, "Okay, that makes a little more sense. We normally wouldn't do that." But I think a lot of people we kind of probably lean towards the original series, just kind of growing up with it type thing and catching it first round. What do you think of the movies, the first few? I like the movies, and you talked about Dr. McCoy. My favorite line in Star Trek The Motion Picture is something to the effect of, "Oh, what are you doing back here?" And he goes, "Some damn reserve activation clause." And I just really related to that as a reserve and guard guy. It's like, I'm getting called back up to fly in the spaceship again. What's going on? So what were your thoughts on the first series of movies? And I referenced one a little while ago.
Yeah, well, everyone, I think universally, Wrath of Khan is put as the best of all of the Star Trek feature-length movies. Yes, indeed.
I don't think everyone feels that way. I can give you at least one example who disagrees, but please continue.
Here we go.
Wow.
It's like a debate brewing here.
and again, that Wrath of Khan, going back to the trilogy of Spock, Kirk, and McCoy, and that they are one unit together, and they can only be successful all together.
Right.
And each relies on the other. I mean, in that particular
everyone
case, for
brings
life,
something to the team.
Yeah.
We talked about that, right?
Everyone
has a skill set that's needed.
Right. And I told you, I've always told you a bunch of times, but that expression I really enjoy, which is that you go to war with the people you got, not the people you wish you had. So basically, it's incumbent upon you to help your team, make them better,
Right.
and let them make you better. And anyway, I digress. Please continue. This is just a part of like offline conversation that this man that I call Rich, but nobody else does, have been having for many years now.
And I think the other part of why so many people like that one the best is because it does go back to the roots of the original show, and most faithfully brings forward not only the characters but enemies and just the original ideas and concepts, I think.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's very interesting. Quick question to both of you. Answer first, whoever wishes, but I unashamedly consume a lot of Jay Leno. He has a show called Jay Leno's Garage, and obviously he talks about cars. He has his own car collection, which was as high as 300 plus, and now might be somewhere in the mid to high 200s. But he also has a lot of other people come on there with their special cars. And so in that sense, he's doing very much what we're doing, right? Interesting people in the automotive space who are doing neat things. And so you'll see a guy from, I think he was from Minnesota, but what he would do is he would take those 1940s Dodge Power Wagons that we saw in World War II, and he would take the shell, and then all the guts were modern. right? But he would just take the old looking stuff and then make a nice modern truck out of that, and so they drive that. So that's one example. Or
He's had a screen used kit on his show.
what did you say? What did you say, Peter?
He's had a screen used kit, Knight Rider 2000.
Oh yes. Yep, he had a Knight Rider on there. He had a guy who collected that white Volvo P1800 from the Saint. He's just had so many, interesting people, and their cars aren't necessarily like a $5 million. I was going to say McLaren F1, but that car is more like $20 million. But their cars aren't necessarily $20 million McLaren F1s. Like I remember there was a guy who was a mechanic that tricked out a Porsche or a Ferrari 308. And there was a young man who was carrying on his father's business of repairing Lamborghinis, which Jay Leno started with a Countach in, I think, 85. And then he moved on to a Diablo in 1991, and those guys have been taking care of those cars for him. That young man brought a Diablo on the. It's just so great. What he does is so great. Okay. Jay Leno says all the time, I can't tell if I like these cars because I like them or if I like them because they're connected to basically childhood memories and I have nostalgia for them, right? So I want to ask you guys that. You almost touched on it a minute ago. Like guys our age love the original. The first
things,
generation. Yeah. What do you think? Do you love it because it's best, or do you love it because of this thing that happens where you connect to things when you're young in a stronger way than you connect to things when you're less young?
You're thinking, yes, I'll go. To me, it's more sentimental. I am a sentimental person. So it brings back fond memories for me. If something is just a superb episode, or it could be the hokiest episode, brings back, a smile and reminds me of just, not happy, or just a happy time, a carefree time, I guess, right? You're not worrying about paying bills and things like that. You're just having fun watching it and enjoying it. And even the movies, from the 80s was a little more carefree time too. So,
Agreed.
yeah.
Actually, I think I'm going to go the other way on that. I really think that the original series was much harder in that when we mentioned a little while ago about perhaps recognizing that chain of command, recognizing just a way of being that might not be the same as the team methodology and all of that is happening.
So that just brings a thought to mind too. So that's not unlike whether it's Cars, television programming. It was groundbreaking. It was something new. The likes had not been seen before. And we've talked about music before, like the Beatles. What's the big deal with the Beatles? They're playing rock and roll. Yeah, and they also kind of changed and morphed and introduced people to different styles of music. They composed their own music, which a lot of bands didn't do. They tried some things. They had quite a few misses as well as hits, right?
A lot of misses.
Definitely did. And people are fans of that, but because it's different. And this was a different show. Or like any other musician, you hear the first album, it's usually fresh and original. Like, wow, I kind of like that. Whether it's Springsteen or whoever, you hear this, that's different. And I think that's a key with the show. It was something, that time frame, late 60s, you're filled with pretty much still a bunch of Westerns. Which I like Westerns too, but like every channel had a couple of Westerns.
World War II movies.
World War II shows
Lots
were
of
real
World War II
popular.
shows, yep.
Nostalgia runs a 20, 25-year cycle, so we had stuff going on there referencing that. And then you've got a lot of like action spy, James Bondish, Our Man Flint, and that kind of stuff going on. Max Smart, yeah, and that thing, and just silly sitcoms, which are really good. So now here's something, it didn't really have anything to compare to. There was no competition, if you will. That was your sci-fi show if you wanted that adventure. So that's I'm sorry.
Yeah. And all that being said, I'm a fan of all the Star Treks, but you were looking to pin down to one and why and all that sort of stuff. Probably the next one in my canon is Deep Space Nine.
Ooh.
Same idea, a little fresh and quirky, a little different.
Quirky, very different.
Yeah.
They broke new ground with 9, yeah.
Yeah.
True, very true.
You had the FAR too. FAR was featured, and this is an inside joke with us, the Ferengi acquisition rules, right? So
Ferengi acquisition rules.
Yeah,
That's
take
good
that back
stuff.
to work. It's good. That's a good one for work. Yeah.
For what it's worth, Art, this is going to sound so wishy-washy, but I think it's both, right? So I've laid this one on you before. I think when you're younger, you have less of accumulated emotional connections. So if you fall in love with an artist, you're falling in love for the first time.
Right.
If you fall in love with a movie or a car, Leno, you're falling in love for one of the first time. So it's fresh, it's new, it's a powerful connection, right? But it also could be the case that the car you fell in love with, right? Like when I was a kid, my favorite supercar, we can have a debate whether it's a supercar, but my favorite supercar was the Porsche 911 Turbo. I liked it because they were getting a lot of power out of an engine that only had 6 cylinders, whereas Ferrari, Lamborghini had all 12 cylinders, right? So I was like, well, why can't these guys can do it with 6? These guys can't do it with 12. What's going on? You know? But in retrospect, that 911 had many other qualities, right? It was well built. It was rust resistant. It had a reliability, and the way sound traveled through that small body was very nice. It had a nice rigid sound. I'm not talking about the torsional rigidity of the vehicle. I'm just talking about how sound travels through the vehicle. It had a nice boom to the door. You know, it was interesting because it was a rear engine car where basically no other cars were rear engine, right? A couple. You had the
Volkswagen Bug.
well, that was yes,
Yeah.
that was still around when in '67 or '68 when the 911 was born. So the Bug was there. There was a car called the Renault Alpine. There was the DeLorean, technically a rear-wheel drive, rear engine car. So there were some, but it was the vast minority, and so that car stood out for other reasons. Anyway, I'm droning on, but I think it's both. I think it's where you are in life and how open you are to that connection, and then also sometimes that first thing is really neat, right? Porsche 911s, still very cool, still rear-engined, still 6 cylinders. There's no Porsche 911 that has any engine with a different number of cylinders than 6. So that's been a tradition since '68, right? And so other people, many people have said, this is special. I want you to keep making this, please, right? The 911 was tried to be killed in the 80s. The 928 was supposed to replace it. But Porsche fanatics were like, no, please keep making the 911, right? Anyway, enough about that. So I think it's both. I think it's your place in life and the quality of the thing that you fell in love with.
You fell in love with it, and you're reinforcing that later, maybe having those memories.
And later,
You're
maybe the
strengthening
thing
that.
is trash, but you still love it because you were a kid when you got introduced. Or
Right.
maybe the thing was gold and you got introduced to it when you were a kid. So now that's what I
I
think.
hear what you're saying. We're kind of wrapping up. You need
Yeah.
to leave shortly.
You got to leave?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's going to leave shortly. So
What is your favorite car?
Yeah, that was-
You can't leave without talking about it.
you have to,
What is my favorite car?
Yeah, what is your favorite car? If I gave you $23.7 million, what car would you
he knows exactly what he wants. Yeah.
What? So you can anything you want. What would you get? Like, what's the thing that you have a passion for?
Well, again, we just for sake of being new and different and all of that. What do I want? I want one of the electric truck things.
Which ones? The Rivians?
The one that looks
Cybertruck?
Like the
the
Pinewood
one,
Derby car,
the one that looks
the
like
Tesla.
from a science fiction movie.
Yeah.
People say that it looks like a garbage can, and I think I completely disagree. I think the styling is very interesting, and we're not going to get into the political baggage of that
No,
company.
it is an
Right.
interesting looking vehicle.
I
for
think it's
sure.
very-
It
it's
reminds
unique.
me of something
Yeah,
from a sci-fi
Logan's
movie.
Run or
Absolutely.
Yes, it does.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Right? I like the Cybertruck. I think it's handsome. I know some people don't like it. You know, there's some things about it I don't care for, but the looks, yeah. So that's Cybertruck for you,
Yeah.
huh? You know, you don't need 20
no.
because their values have plummeted a little bit. You can get them for pretty 40s. But anyway, so let's not before. You threw me a curveball last week. What is that catchphrase? I was like, catchphrase? I don't do catchphrases, you know?
I think you did it at least once.
Hold my beer. I don't do
Yeah, I
catchphrases.
think you did it once, and then
Yeah,
I just made it yours.
Oh, one time is not a catchphrase.
That's true, but we want to thank Art for stopping by today.
Let's do another review of. So
Yeah.
Saturday we have the pancake breakfast at.
Sunday.
No, that's Sunday.
Forgive me. That's Sunday. So Sunday we have the pancakes breakfast at Moses. What's
correct.
Saturday? Saturday's the university.
Yep, that's out at UMass Amherst.
UMass Amherst.
A little further distant, out on March 11th, we have at the Student Prince in Springfield our celebrity bartender. So there are a lot of folks that are coming out to help us raise money for all of the programs of scouting in Western Mass. So we're very thankful for all those volunteers from all sorts of companies that are coming, and all of the folks that will be coming that evening to have food or beverages, and also tip all of the bartenders.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Great events coming up.
And plug it one more time. So, Western Mass Council, obviously, you're a part of Western Mass Council, and how can they reach you? What's their
Certainly, the best way to reach me is probably through our website. So you can reach us there. You can reach me on probably the best way, believe it or not, is the phone at the office, because I have that forwarded to my cell that I carry with me. So that number is 413-594-9196.
Which
and then
you can find on our
extension
website.
7034. And again, messages left there do come right to my cell phone, so I'm able to return them at any time. It is important because I am often out and about in the community doing these different things, so don't feel you need to call there during business hours. The messages will come through, and that's also why I gave the number rather than giving the cell number, that I'm able to return those as quickly as able.
Well,
good.
you know,
So-
there's going to be a few people who see this show before this weekend, and hopefully many more who see it after this coming weekend. But Art's not going anywhere. He's staying right here, and he's going to continue serving our local community. And Rich and I hope to stay right here and continue serving our local community. But we hope you join us. There's a lot of opportunity here for you, for your children, for your children's friends. Come and join us, and I'll give you guys the last word. And
No, I'd just like to thank Art for coming on again and taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us
despite
and
his
share.
erroneous views on Shatner,
And it's always great to learn more about somebody, and that's kind of the gist of the show, is to learn some folks in the community, a little bit about what makes them tick, what's really interesting, and what their likes and interests are. And it's fascinating to find somebody with a dedication to service. That's always great. So we'll have to have you come back sometime.
Excellent.
And again,
definitely have to. We've barely even scratched.
yeah,
You got to come back.
we got to do a follow on. We're going to take notes and pick up where we left off, back with cars, and then music, I think.
So recently I had to put a post up for President's Day that we were closing our offices, of course, for the holiday. What I was able to find was a quote from President Gerald Ford, the only president that was an Eagle Scout. And his quote, and I may be paraphrasing it here, the only thing that is wrong with the Scouts is that there aren't enough of them.
Ooh, that's
We need to work on having more and more Scouts join our program. And you can probably still see that posting on our website and our Facebook page.
Thank you. That's an awesome quote, and that's a great quote to go out on. So the only thing wrong with scouting is that there's not enough scouts.
Yep.
That's really good.
That is awesome.
Peter, play us out before I ruin it.